Hi, everybody. I'm here with Adriano Herdman, and we are talking recruiter enablement. So, first of all, Adriano, thank you for joining me today. Give us a quick introduction to you. What do you do? How'd you pay the bills? What do you do?
Yeah, thanks, Adam. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, Adriano. I'm the co-founder of an embedded recruiting company. So we provide recruiting services for, I'd say, early stage technology businesses. So how we define that is businesses with small or no talent acquisition functions at the moment. That's what I do to pay the bills. We believe that often companies at that stage of growth don't have a function and sometimes don't know what good TA looks like. So we believe in leaving them in a much better place than when we found them. A bit like, I can't remember which dating app it is. I think it's Hinge, but like it's designed to be deleted. We see ourselves a little bit like that for our partners. We're not a forever solution, but we want to make sure that they found their soulmate after that, but being sustainable, direct hire model, talent acquisition done well in a fair manner. So that's really what drives a lot of what we do. So that's me in a nutshell.
I love that comparison, and unfortunately, well, I can't believe I nearly said unfortunately. Unfortunately, I've been married so long that I was never on any dating apps. That's what I nearly said. I didn't.
You
say
didn't.
That.
Subconsciously, it was there, but you stopped yourself. That's good.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't even think that. So yeah, I never. So I don't know. I've never really been on one, but the concept of designed to be deleted is something that their investors must be freaking right out about.
Yeah, I was gonna say
customer
that
lifetime
myself.
value.
I was like, I'm not selling it to any future investors, but it seems to be working for Hinge. So like there is some stickiness value there. Like I think the principles behind it work, but as we all know, sometimes clients just keep you around because they can't be bothered to do it themselves either. So
of course.
But yes.
Of course. All right. So I guess what that means is you're leaving things that they can then use as well. So I want to know about, like, you produce quite a lot of really great content, and if anybody's watching this, you need to, if you're not connected or following Adriano on LinkedIn, you have to, because he's producing very regular like infographics on here's how to do things, here's the optimal way of achieving X and Y and Z, and I think they're absolutely brilliant, and I keep referencing it on Recruiting Brainfood Live. So I want to understand, are you designing these things for customers and then just thinking, actually, might as well just open source this and share it with other people? Why are you doing all this?
Yeah, firstly, really appreciate it that the content's resonating. It's always good to hear, and that I think so. Like one of our key principles with Move and how we do things is we want to give it all away, right? Like I said at the beginning, we want to leave clients better off than how they are. So we want to really show all the state secrets of how we do things, aligned to that. We're already doing that for our partners, and aligned to that, we also believe that in general, talent acquisition can be quite siloed. So there's a lot of really smart people doing amazing work, but I'm not necessarily like privy to that. So that's what the driver was. And then I think just producing content in general, as a practitioner and a business owner, makes you better at what you do. It's like a pillar activity. So if you're reading about what you're doing, writing about what you're doing, and kind of processing it, it helps you be better at doing it as well. So that's the why. And then like maybe over time we've tailored it more to the ICP that we're going for, which is that early stage bucket. But some of it is just for recruiters, because we've obviously got an employer branding pillar of content that we also want to resonate to our potential talent pool. So since we started doing it, it's much easier to hire higher quality recruiters as well, because they're more interested in working for us. But the main driver is, think hiring manager or leadership team in a startup doesn't really know what hiring is. We want them to be able to get some actionable stuff from the content that they can do themselves before having to call us until the volume's too great or whatever it may be. That was the real driver. But yeah, that's it's been super interesting doing it, and we really enjoy it as well. But commercially, it's starting to bear some fruit also. But primarily, it's to like show under the hood and leave them better off than when we left them.
It's funny you mention about the employer branding benefit that you get as an organization within the recruiter community, because there's been a few people who have actually come onto this channel, on the recruiter enablement channel, and have said, actually, me talking about the way that we're doing great things to enable our recruiters will be great for me to reshare with potential candidates that are coming in to work with us in our talent acquisition team, especially RPO businesses. Quite several of them have said exactly that. And then the other thing that you've just said, which really resonates, is creating that content makes you actually, it really focuses the mind, doesn't it? And I was thinking about this just earlier, and we've got quite a few customers that have said to us recently, right, what's the optimal tech stack that includes poetry? Where does it go with all the other things? Should we be doing any connections and whatever? And what technologies can we get rid of if we're using poetry? And it just occurred to me an hour ago that actually what I should probably do is just create a graphic and just share that on LinkedIn and share it with all the, you know, companies that have signed up for poetry and whatever, and just show exactly what I think the optimal
where it maps.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now let's get onto recruiter enablement a little bit more specifically. Like, what that phrase is a little ambiguous. I appreciate that, and that's almost deliberate. But what does it mean to you? What's it all about? And just like any views on the topic?
Sure. Yeah, I think it's rather ambiguous. I think it's quite a broad. I think it's quite a broad term. I think we know what it means, but it covers so many areas. It could be everything, or it could be super narrow. For me, it's as it says, like it's enabling our teams to be better at what they do. But there's another like strand to that which I'd bolt on, which seems to be very in vogue, but it's also super important. Is, I think one of your other guests mentioned it. I think it was Dev. I can't remember his name exactly. Apologies if I'm bastardizing that. But he was also talking about enabling the whole recruiting team to get better at what they do. So we call it hiring manager enablement as well. So I see recruiter enablement thrown into hiring manager enablement via easily digestible pieces of content and learning. So I've got a teaching background. I had a sabbatical a few years ago and did a postgrad in English teaching, and that's like driven a lot of how we like to train and develop our recruiters. So the key principles are like, make it bite size, make it gamified, make it personalized, and also like constantly review. So those kind of principles are driving how we see recruiter enablement and L&D. So that it has to be super targeted, not too like long and unwieldy, and can be actionable straight away. So that's driving a lot of the content that we're producing as well. So more specifically about us and being an embedded talent company who works with a portfolio of companies at any one time as their talent team, like that, the enablement piece allows us to have more of a differentiating factor against our competitors, right? It is our IP beyond like how good are your recruiters, which is not really a differentiator, but how good can we make our recruiters and train them? And then what systems and processes do we have in place? That is IP. So enablement is fundamental to getting that right. And if we don't get that right, we don't really have much of a business, to be honest with you. So yeah, it's critical to what we do.
So the way that I kind of categorize the different sort of strands of recruiter enablement, and I agree with you, by the way, it could mean 50,000 things, or it could be super narrow. The way that I contextualize it, it's about 4 things: marketing, operations, learning, and tools. In terms of the marketing aspect, I think that that's something which recruiters need to be marketers more than they ever have had to, because like probably less of what they're doing is talking to people than it certainly was when I started in 1999. And a lot of what they're doing is getting people through a process and getting them to say yes to a call and getting them to agree that their objection is, you know, not actually an objection, or, you know, overturning it. And there's a lot of writing and influencing in marketing communications format. Is this something that you would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. Like, so specifically what it looks like for us, we also break it out. I think you touched on it a little bit there about how technology is shifting the skills needed for the orthodox recruiter role over time. So you pointed out interviewing is now, because access to talent is no longer the issue, it's the quality of the message with which you're reaching out to them, right? How do you get them on the call? But all of that can be largely automated with intelligent systems and tooling. The human interactions, the human in the loop element now is like heightened in terms of its importance, because all the other stuff pre and post is becoming automated. So for us, like enabling our recruiters to be really impactful when they speak to someone is a key differentiator. So how do we improve that part of it? The other part that's really important that we tend to centralize quite a bit is that messaging piece. So marketing and sourcing connected, and also how they're pitching on call. So a little bit what we've done to centralize that. Basically what we do not want is a recruiter that is perhaps a phenomenal interviewer to getting in the morning, having a few roles that they've got a source for and going, what message shall I use today? That is like something's broken there. So we've got an onboarding team, but really there are an enablement team. If we look at it that way, it's a senior leadership team that onboards clients and documents the playbooks that we'll then test and take to market. So that's right, value propositions across all the levels, like team, company, individual, and trying to elicit various motivators from the incumbents that are doing the job, and then building a playbook that our team can take to market and then test. So our sourcing teams use Limlist, so we can test that messaging, but that messaging is pre-written at onboarding phase. So those tend to be the playbooks that we then give back, the winning playbooks, to our clients. So that's the enablement piece for us, for them. It's like leaving them with the playbooks for that particular talent pool or candidate profile in that location that worked for us, and the time to hire that you can anticipate based on the activity that we put in place. So yeah, massively important to marketing. It's changing the dynamic of skills and how we train. I think with the access to the tools that are available at the moment, yeah, I mentioned like interviewing and the human interaction piece, but I think like putting it all together and being aware of marketing and the metrics around like marketing metrics is going to be such an important skill. And also just being like a scholar of talent acquisition is going to be the main thing you need to be good at, because we've all got access to tools. Do you care to learn about them? That's like number one. Do you care about how this is going to impact your role? That's number two, because it's that kind of outlook and way of kind of learning about the evolution of the industry that I think will be the differentiating recruiters. And again, no matter how good your tools and content is, if you don't have people that are naturally curious to learn, it's just not gonna, it's not really gonna like take off. It's one of the challenges we have is we think we've got some good stuff in place at the moment, but engagement is like 50-50. So we've just invested in an L&D platform called Purple that you may be familiar with Joe Atkinson. We rolled it out because it's really important to us, right? But even now in the early phases when people should be excited, we probably haven't rolled it out intelligently enough. So it's just some challenges we're seeing in terms of it doesn't matter how good the tooling is, we need to evangelize it even with our own teams really well. And that's slightly off topic, but that's something that we're struggling with right now and trying to get better at.
Yeah, no, I don't think it is off topic. I think it's really important. I think tools is one, for me, it's one of the key pillars of recruiter enablement, and giving them the knowledge on how to access the tool, what to do with it, when they should be, and I guess really selling the benefits is something that's vital as well. Adriano, I could talk to you about this for hours, because you obviously got a lot of knowledge on the subject, and I'm really enjoying learning from you. I'm also, now that I didn't know you trained as an English teacher, but that kind of explains probably why you're so good at communicating and why you're so good at visual communication as well. I can imagine that you probably got some extra skills in that area while training to be a teacher. So thank you so much for your time. Good to see you, and look forward to talking again.
Really appreciate it. Cheers, Adam.